Today we are going to talk about circumference and the area of circles. Here's a quick look at a circle. You can see there's a couple different parts we're going to need to know. We have radius. Radius is half the distance from the middle all the way to the outside. So the distance from the center of the circle to the outer edge. The diameter is all the way across the circle, or in better terms, the length of a line through the center from our one edge to another. And then we have circumference. Circumference is the distance around the outside of the circle. So here's our formulas, and you are given this on your formula chart. We have circumference when given radius, 2 pi r. That's just multiplying 2 times pi times r. Circumference given diameter, pi times diameter. Area given radius, that's pi r squared, or pi times r times r. All that squared means is radius times radius. And then we need to know what pi is. Pi is 3.14. So here's our first example. It says find the circumference of the circle to the nearest hundredth. So looking at our circle, we are given something that goes all the way across the circle. Looking at our last slide, we know that is our diameter. So if the diameter is 8 inches, we need to use the formula down here at the bottom. If given diameter, we multiply the diameter times 3.14. So we would multiply 3.14 times the diameter, which is 8. 8 times 4 is 32. Carry the 3. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 3 is 11. Carry the 1. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 1 is 25. Now, we are not done yet. We have 2 decimal places up top. So we have to move our decimal 2 places to the left here. So we put it right in the middle. And we end up getting 25.12 inches all the way around the circle. Example 2 says an irrigation sprinkler waters a circular region with a radius of 14 feet. Find the circumference of the region watered by the sprinkler. So we're seeing that from the center to the outer edge, that's half the circle, that's our radius. That is 14. So we see here our formula. If radius is given, we multiply radius times 2. That gives us our full length across the circle. Then we'd multiply by 3.14. So our radius is 14. We're going to multiply that by 2. 14 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. We get 28. Now we need to multiply 3.14 and 28. 8 times 4 is 32. Put a 2, carry the 3. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 is 11. Put the 1, carry the 1. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 1 is 25. We are done with the 8. Now we put an x or 0 for place value. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 2 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. Now we have to add up. 2 plus 0 or x is just 2. 8 plus 1 is 9. 5 plus 2 is 7. 6 plus 2 is 8. Now we need to look at our decimal places. We have 2 up top. So we move our decimal places 2 to the left to get 87.92 feet. So here's our example 3. How to find the area of a circle when you know the radius. So again, the radius starts at the center of the circle, goes to the outer edge. So let's look at our steps. Step 1 says look to see if the circle gives you the radius or the diameter. So we know it's the radius, so we can keep reading on. Number 2 says if given the diameter. Since we're not given the diameter here, we don't need to keep reading. Now the third one says, once you have the radius, you multiply the radius times 3.14. This is also known as pi r squared. So that is our formula we are going to use. Pi r squared. And that r squared, that just means radius times radius. And then pi is 3.14. So let's fill in what we know. We know the radius is 6. We know the radius is 6. And 3.14 is pi. So 6 times 6 we know is 36. Now we need to multiply that by 3.14. Six times 4 is 24. Put the 4, carry the 2. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18, so we put the 18. We're done with the 6, so we can cross them out, put an x for place value. 3 times 4 is 12, put the 2, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. So now we need to add up. 4 plus x is just 4. 8 and 2 is 10, carry the 1. 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 9 and 1 is 10, plus another 1 is 11. Now we have 2 decimals up top, so we move it 2 decimals to the left to get 113.04 meters. And since it's finding area, area always has to be squared. That's the difference between area and circumference. You have to label it and put squared, or the answer will be wrong. So it's 113.04 meters squared. Another way you might see this written is 113.04 square meters. Either way, they mean the same thing. And our last example, example 4, how to find the area of a circle when you know the diameter. Okay, so we know the diameter here, and that's all the way across the circle. And that's 8 foot. Okay, so let's go through our steps. Look to see if the circle gives you the radius or diameter. Okay, so we know it's diameter. If given the diameter, so we need to keep reading this, divide it by 2 to find the radius. So, since the diameter is all the way across the circle, we have to divide it by 2 to get half the circle, half the distance. Okay, because that's what we need for this formula. We need the radius. So, since we're given 8 as our diameter, we have to divide it by 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4 to get a radius of 4. Now we can use our formula, pi r squared, which really just means 3.14 times by r times by r. Now we know the radius, since we divided 8 by 2, is 4. So we have our new formula. 4 times 4 is 16. Now we just need to multiply that by 3.14. 3.14 times 16. 6 times 4 is 24. Put the 4, carry the 2. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. We're done with the 6. Put an x for place value. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Now we need to add up. We get 4. 8 and 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 8 plus 1 is 9. Plus the 1 we carried is 10. Carry the 1. 3 and plus 1 is 4. Plus the 1 we carried is 5. Now remember, since we're finding area, we have to label it, which we got feet squared. If we do not put the label squared, the answer is wrong. So we need to make sure we know on area, we have to label it, whatever unit it is, squared.